Okay, so welcome everybody to the Education Library Research Skills for the Capstone. This is the third session that we're doing in this series, and tonight we're going to be talking about dissertations. My name is Kim Burton, and with me is Ann Rojas. Ann and I are the liaisons to the College of Education. That means that we are your librarians. We're here to help you in all of your research needs. And as I mentioned tonight, we're talking about dissertations. We're going to talk about why they are such a valuable tool. And then we're going to go and show you some demonstrations. We'll go in and do some searching in the dissertation databases. So why are dissertations, oh, I'm so sorry, such an important tool for you? Reviewing published dissertations or project studies can show you the end results, what you're here for, what you're trying to create. You can see how they are set up, their organization, the flow, and then see how all these pieces are working together. You can look up examples of how other researchers have used specific frameworks or theories. You can, if you're not sure about a methodology that you want to use or a framework, then you can look up a dissertation or project study that's close to your topic and see what someone else has used. And one of the best things about dissertations that I like is their reference list. Now think about it. These are people who have just finished what you're doing right now. They have done a comprehensive search of the literature. They've exhausted the literature to find the best resources to support their research. And most of those resources are within 5 years. So 5 years old. So you can still use them for your research. And if they are a little bit too old, that's okay, because we can do something called citation chaining. And that's when you take an older article and you find other people who have cited it. So their article would have been published more recently. There is one thing to remember though, dissertations are not peer reviewed. They are rarely cited in other dissertations. Faculty have very different opinions about this. So if you wanted to cite a dissertation, you would definitely need to check with your chair first to see if that would be appropriate or even allowed. So usually you do not cite dissertations. We have a link right here to a peer review webinar. It's only 30 minutes long, and it's a pretty good webinar that just talks about what peer review is, how you can find peer review articles, and also how to verify if your article is from a peer-reviewed journal, which is something that I'm going to be showing you later on tonight. This right here is what the dissertation page looks like at the Walden Library, and we have a link directly to this page right up here in the title of this slide. I'm going to go ahead and jump out to the Walden Library and show you how to get there. So from the library website, we're going to go to this blue button that says Publications, and you can see it says Dissertations in there as well. Then you're going to choose a second button on the left-hand side that says Dissertations and Theses. And here we are at the page. We have a couple options here. The first one that's listed is ScholarWorks. For those of you who are not aware, ScholarWorks is the institutional repository for Walden, where you can find all of Walden's journals that they publish, published works from faculty. You can also find award-winning dissertations here. By clicking on the dissertations link, from the landing page, you'll see there's a link for Frank Dilley Award for Outstanding Doctoral Study. So any project study, if you want to find examples of an award-winning project study, you can go in here and look at this. If you're doing a dissertation, you might want to go ahead and look at the Harold Hodgkinson Award for Outstanding Dissertations. So you can get an idea of what it takes to win an award for your dissertation or for your project study here at Walden. Next is the link that we're going to be using to look at dissertations at Walden. And we're looking at Walden dissertations because that's the product. That's what we're looking for. We want it to look like that. However, we do have access to some dissertations outside of Walden University. If you're not looking at a dissertation to see how it's organized and how it flows, you want to look for some examples of some theories or methodology, you could check outside of the Walden Library. And also down here, I just wanted to point out, we have a bunch of quick answers on how to search inside the dissertation database. So I'm going to show you how to do this, but if you forget, you can always come back here and look up how to find an EDD project study. Now we're going to go ahead and jump in to the dissertations and theses at Walden. Let me clear this. Okay, I'm going to show you how to find PhD dissertations from the College of Education, how to find EDD project studies, and also how to find EDD dissertations. I'm going to start off with the PhD dissertations. The first thing we want to do is in the first box, we're going to type in PhD, and I'm using the periods in there. And then over to the right where it says anywhere, I'm going to select degree. So this is going to tell the database to only bring back PhDs. Now there's a lot of PhDs at Walden. We have a lot of schools. We have, business and nursing. How do we tell the database that we only want dissertations from the College of Education? Well, there's no exact way to do this, and that's because the librarians do not catalog the dissertations in this ProQuest database. ProQuest has dissertations from thousands of universities, and every university is different. They don't understand that Walden has a College of Education and Leadership, so it doesn't provide us with a limiter. But what we can do is we can tell the database to look for education, and we're going to change this to department. Now, it's not perfect, but it is one of the best ways to limit our results to PhDs from the College of Education. And we always want to look at the most recent dissertations because sometimes templates or requirements change, and because we want those resources to be pretty recent. So we're going to look for the last 2 years. I'm going to hit search. We get 126 results. Now, as I mentioned, it's not a perfect search. So we do have to go in to verify that these are PhDs from the College of Education. So what I want to do is I want to click on the full text PDF underneath the title. And then we go down, and first thing we want to look for is College of Education. Now I want to make sure that this is a PhD, and there it is, Doctor of Philosophy. So this would be the search you would use to find a dissertation from the College of Education. Now we'll go back up to the advanced search. Now we're going to look for some EDDs. Let's look for project studies first. So I put in here ed.d. as the degree. Now what I want to do is I'm going to put project study in the second line, and I'm going to put it in quotes because I want project study next to each other. I want it as a phrase. I don't want project on page 8 and study on page 105. I want those two found next to each other, so we put in the quotes in there. I'm going to tell the database to search for this document text, which is full text, meaning it's going to search the entire resource, all the resources for this phrase. And if that phrase is there and it has an EDD degree, it's going to bring it back in the results. So I'm going to click search. I get 137 results. And again, it's not perfect. We have to double check. So I'll go into the full text of the first result. Okay, College of Education, that's good. Doctor of Education, perfect. But now I want to make sure it's a project study. And the first way, well, the easiest way I find to do that is just to jump down to the table of contents. Sorry if I'm making you a little dizzy here. Okay, section 1, the problem. Okay, so this is a project study. I can tell because this project studies are in sections, not chapters. So we have section 1, the problem, section 2, methodology, and section 3 is going to be the project. There it is. So this is a project study from for an EDD. Now we're going to go back to the advanced search page. Now we want to look for EDD dissertations. And I'm going to show you how to do this here, but this is probably going to be the only time I am ever going to tell anybody to mess around with this little drop-down box in front of the search boxes. Usually you're always going to leave this at and. This is going to be the one time I'm going to tell you it's okay to change it. What you're going to do is you're going to change this to not. Now what's going to happen is it's going to search for EDD degrees, but if the phrase project study is in it, it's going to eliminate it from our results. Now again, it's not perfect, but it's the best way we can do to find those dissertations. we have 68. So I'm going to jump in the first one and we're just going to see what we have here. College of Education. I'll make sure it's a, this is a Doctor of Philosophy. So this is a PhD. This is not an EDD. Pretty safe to assume here that since we were looking for EDDs, that it was cataloged wrong. The human that cataloged this, instead of putting it as a PhD degree, mistakenly put it in as an EDD. And that can happen. That's why we want to go into each one and double check. Instead of going back to my results, I can just click on this little arrow here to look at number 2 in my result list. Okay, College of Education. Now I want to make sure it's a Doctor of Education. There it is. Okay, it's an EDD. Now I want to make sure that it is a dissertation. So we're going to go down to the table of contents. And here it is. And I can see it is a table of contents. It's organized by chapters. Literature review, research method, reflections, conclusions, and discussion. So this is a dissertation, an EDD dissertation. So Anne, does anybody have any questions before I go on about that?
Nope, we're good so far.
Great, great. Now, this is great, but you can also narrow this down a little more. So if you want to find EDD project studies, let me change this back to Anne. We can, on high school teachers is your population. You'll just click add a row. We can put in high school teachers. I'm putting in quotes because I want those words right next to each other. And I'll hit search and it's going to find the project studies, EDDs, that talk about high school teachers. Now we'll go back to this advanced search. The one thing that's different with the dissertations that I just want to point out is if you're looking for the dissertation and you have the not, this search is not going to bring back a good result for you. For some reason, ProQuest, when you use not, it has to be the last box. So what you would have to do here is switch these. You would have to put in your concept, high school teachers, in the second box and move project study into the third box. So if you're looking for, where am I? I can't talk and do things at the same time. Full text, there it is. So if you're looking for EDD dissertations and you want to look for them about a specific topic, you want to make sure that the not project study is going to be the final box. Now let's look for, how about this? Let's leave it at, we'll leave it at the EDD. We'll move this as a project study. And let's say you want to specifically look for project studies that your chair has chaired on. So you know what your chair expects of you. What you can do is you can scroll down here where it says advisor. So for ProQuest, advisor is the same as chair. We can click on look up advisors, and I recommend doing it this way because sometimes, well, in this example, we were looking for Dr. Underwood. She's in here twice. Once as Vicky and once as Vicky L. I mean, I'm sorry, 8 times as Vicky and 3 times as Vicky L. So you're going to want to make sure you add all the versions of her name, add it to the search, and then click search. So I don't know if we're going to find anything. No, so she must, the reason being is because she probably doesn't have anything in there about with high school teachers. So I could remove the high school teachers and just search for project studies that Dr. Underwood has chaired on, and we have 2. Let me go back to the advanced search again, and let's look up another example. How about this time we'll go back to the PhDs from education. We're going to do department. So now we're looking for PhD dissertations. Let's say your topic is about stress or burnout. I'll add another row, and we'll do high school teachers again. And we'll hit search and, ooh, let me just remove this right there. Okay. So here we have a results. Let's jump into, I'll just go pick the second one. So we have the College of Education, Doctor of Philosophy. All right, perfect. Let's go down and look at that table of contents. Let's see how this is set up, how it's organized. They have the chapters. You can see how long the chapters are, how long the literature review is. You can see the conceptual framework that they use. So if you're not sure of what type of framework you want, or if you're interested in Bandura's social cognitive theory, you might want to get in here and see how they used it. You can also look up the research design. In some cases, if you're looking for an instrument or a survey to use on the population that you're studying, you can find those in dissertations. Not only can you find them in dissertations, but you may also be able to find in the appendix the correspondence that the researcher sent to the person who created that instrument, asking if they can use it, and then the creator's letter back giving permission for the use of that instrument. So these are great resources for you. Then you could just use that if you were asking for the same instrument. Now, when you're going through here and you're looking how things are set up, if you're finding references, if you're finding the same thing, resources being referenced, you might want to look those up too. You can easily do this by accessing the reference tab at the top. I'll click on that. It automatically defaults to show the most recent first. You can switch it to list, to sort by author name if you were looking up a specific author. But for tonight, we're just going to leave it, and it's still running. It's taking a little longer than usual to pull up my reference list. While that's going, Anne, was there any questions while I'm waiting for this to load?
Well, at some point, maybe you want to circle back to, there was a question about whether or not you search high school teachers in document text, full text, or otherwise. You might just want to talk about the differences.
Sure. Okay, so I'm just going to go back because it's not working. I just searched stress or burnout and high school teachers just anywhere because it's going to, the databases have key terms that they add to, that they tag their resources. So the dissertations are about something, they could be assigned a subject term. And when you're searching anywhere, it'll also search in those subject terms. So if a dissertation has the subject term high school teachers, then you know that's what it's about. The reason we were searching project study anywhere inside is because ProQuest does not have a subject heading for project study. So we have to search it within the text. So you don't need to switch it for when you're just searching for a concept. It was only for the project study, just to make sure. Let me see if I can get in here. Pulling up a reference tab. So if the reference list loads, oh good, here's one. Oh, see, there's something wrong here with the database because we're live and this was working half an hour ago. Let's try one more time.
Murphy's Law.
Murphy's Law, right? Oh, that would be a shame if it, oh, okay, this one worked. Okay, so as I mentioned, the reference tab at the top, it lists them most recent first, which is great. I mean, sometimes it's not perfect. Sometimes like this right here, the citation is a little different, so it's really not the most recent. But you can see you have a list of all these great resources, and to access them, you can just look for the full text PDF. I like to open it in a new window. So I clicked on that. It said full text, but it didn't bring it up. So now what can we do? We click on the Find at Walden. And when you click at Find at Walden, it's going to bring you to a bunch of databases where you can find this article. Look and access the database that has the best coverage. So if you're looking for an article from 2017, you want to make sure the coverage is there. These are both the same, so it doesn't matter which one we choose, but we can click on that. We would be able to access that article. Now, if you're going through here and you notice that there is an article without any links, I'm not seeing, well, this one here, that's a book. So let me just use this as an example, but let's say there are no links. What you can do is you can copy the title of the article, go back to the Walden Library, go to Ask a Librarian and email it to us. We have ways of finding resources, of finding articles. They could be hidden in another database. We can find them free online. And if we can't, we'll point you in the right direction. But you never want to purchase anything without talking to a librarian first. Now, let's say you're going through here and your favorite article that you need is just a little bit too old. So there's a couple of things that you can do there. I'm waiting for it. Okay, here's an example. This is from 2013, so it's a little old, but it's perfect for your study. What you can do is copy the title and then go back to the library. And this banner goes across the top of every page in the Walden Library. We're going to go to Start Your Research. And then in the Search by Database box, there's a link to Google Scholar. And I access Google Scholar this way because if I use this Google Scholar search box, it's automatically linked with the Walden databases. So if Google Scholar finds an article that we have, a Find at Walden link will show up. So we have this article from 2013. I pasted the title in here and I hit search. And it pulls it up right away. And you can see it is available at Walden because there's a Find at Walden link here. But what we want to look at is this link here. Google Scholar found 191 researchers that cite this article. And since this article was published in 2013, all of these articles had to have been published more recently. Although, of course, it's not perfect. We have books here in the front that have an older date, but the rest of them would be a little bit older. Now, what we can do is we can even narrow this down a little bit more. We can click on Search within Citing Articles, and now we're only searching these 191 articles. And let's say you're really just interested in STEM teachers. So we're going to type in STEM, and now we have 37 articles that not only cite this original article, but they talk about STEM. Then we can go over here and limit to dates. If we click on custom range, we can put in 2017. You don't need to put an end date. It will automatically search through the present. But now I have 17 articles that not only cite this really important article, but they also talk about STEM, and they're within they've been published after 2017. Now, to access Google Scholar articles, I want to look on the right-hand side. A PDF means that this article was found online, and you can click on that to see it. This is a patent. Oops. The best thing to do if you have an option is the Find at Walden. That way you know you're accessing it legitimately. You can just click on the Find at Walden and then choose the database to look at it. If you see an EDU, most likely this is a dissertation. Again, not peer reviewed, but still a good resource. You can go in there and see what other resources they are citing from. Now, the one thing you need to remember when you're searching in Google Scholar is that Google Scholar does not limit to peer review. So you have to take that extra step, and you have to confirm that if you need articles from peer-reviewed journals, you're getting them. Peer review is dependent on the journal, not the title of the article. So it's the journal we want to look at. So if the journal is a peer-reviewed journal, then any scholarly article it publishes is considered peer review. Now, a quick and easy way, we'll use this as an example, a quick and easy way to find out the title of the journal, you can see it's here, but there's some dots, so it's probably a little bit longer, is to click on the little quotation site icon here, and you'll get this pop-up screen, and this is going to give you some ideas of how you may want to cite this resource. Now, again, it's only as good as the human that put it in there, and I can see that this is using title text capitalization, so that is incorrect. Just be aware of that. You should never copy a citation format and assume that it's correct. So I copied the title of the journal. Now I'm going to go back to the Walden Library, and just like we did to get to Google Scholar, I'm going to click on Start Your Research. And in the Search by Database box right under Google Scholar, there's a link that says Ulrich's Verify Peer Review. And when we get to this page, we're going to put the title right here where it says enter journal title. We're going to paste the title in here, hit search, and this is going to bring us to Ulrich's. Now, Ulrich's is a directory of journals. There's no articles in here. It's just a directory, and it just has information about journals. It just tells us things about them. But they are the standard for peer review. So if Ulrich says it's a peer-reviewed journal, then any scholarly article they publish is considered peer review. Now here it is. This is the article of the journal we're looking for. You can see it's in here 3 times. That's because it's available on print, on microform, and online. Now, I just want to point out, there's also a couple of another journal here that's kind of like it, but it's a little different. Be careful, there's lots of journals have similar names. If you have any question, look up the publisher or contact one of the librarians through Ask a Librarian. But I know that this is what we're looking at. This is what the journal that's in that reference. What we want to do is look in this column. So you see how this looks like a little umpire jersey, and when I put my cursor over, it says refereed. Another term for refereed is peer-reviewed. So this is a peer-reviewed journal, which means that this would be considered a peer-reviewed article and then would be appropriate for you to use. Okay, so in the slide deck, I'd have a link to Google Scholar and how to verify peer review. But this brings us to the end of tonight's session. We are doing one more session on April 15th, and that's going to be on theories and theorists, how to find them and how to find their seminal work. We do have links here on how to get to quick answers and Ask a Librarian. The Ask a Librarian link is always in this banner across the top of every page at the library, and if you click on it, you can send us an email. If you have the need for a more in-depth session, you can click on the doctoral research appointment, go to the College of Education and Leadership, and then you can set up an appointment with either myself or Anne. You can see the dates that we have available. If none of these work, we can check and see when Anne is available. And then you click the time that works for you. And this will be a 30-minute appointment with just you and Anne or myself, and we'll talk about your research. Anything we can do to help you with that research. So that brings us to the end. Anne, was there any questions?
No, people found it very helpful, so that's great. And just a reminder that in the chat box is the link to where the slide deck lives, and you will be emailed the recording link along with your follow-up email in a day or two, right?
Yes, yep, thank you so much. All right, well then I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording, but we will kind of hang out for a little bit just in case anybody does have something come up.